All right, that's CAMP. CAMP is actually an acronym for content and media production. And this is our new logo. We'll talk a little bit about branding, but yeah, this is our new little sub mark. And welcome to the Open a Content Studio Masterclass. I'm your host, Patrice. I'll share with you a little more about who I am, what I've done, where I'm from, how we got to this place. But I'm so happy that you're here. And so, just to give kind of a little background, I opened this, we'll get into the space, that background in a little bit, but I didn't think about creating this environment or this community until about 4 years in. I said, I can be telling people how to do this because we've been around for so long. But it took me almost a year to actually make this class happen. And I think it was fear. I think it was looking for the answers in all the other places, not realizing that it was within myself. And so I'm just nervous a little bit to be here finally in front of you all. So when I finally decided to do this, I just picked the date and said, we got to do it. And I made sure it was less than a month because I wanted to get this done. But this is my first time doing this. I've had webinars before, but I have never had something that teaches people how to open their own space. So when this is all said and done, I'm going to send you guys a survey so you can give me very honest feedback on everything from the administrative piece to the design piece. I want to know how this was. I want to know if it was worth your time. I want to know if it was worth your money. I do believe it will absolutely be worth your money, but I'm happy you're here and it means a lot. And I hope that this information is going to help you go to the next level, whatever that is. It might not be opening a content studio. It might be opening some other type of brick and mortar. It might be saying, you know what, I'm a content creator, but I do hope that something comes out of your 2 hours sitting here with me. All right. So here we go. That's me. That's camp. So I'm in camp right now. Right. So if you've never been here before, this is, and we set it up a little differently. We used to have, so in this picture, you'll see that the couch was along the white wall. Now we have the couch kind of cat a corner. We have our greenery wall here. We have our kitchen. We have a whole tour. So when you go on our website, you can absolutely do a virtual tour. But this is camp and I create everything here. I take my branding shoots here. Like that is one of the shots that I use for my LinkedIn page. I do everything right here. We'll talk about the benefits in a little bit, but why have a space if you're not going to use it? Why have a space if you're not going to show it off, right? You should be your space's number one customer. And again, we'll get into a little more about being a creator, but you absolutely need to believe in your product and use your product. I understand some people want to be silent investors, right? I get that. But if I think the people on this call are people that want to open a space and tell the people that they own a space and do it that way in the way that I did it. So use it all the time. CamSpace, it is a content creation studio. We pivoted from a co-work space, right? So I started this thing and we opened in 2018, but I had the idea to have a co-work space back in 2015. And I kind of just decided to do that on a whim. Well, not on a whim. I used to be a PR consultant for a lot of different celebrities and athletes. And I never had a place to work remotely. I never had a place to work remotely. And so I said, I want a co-work space. I didn't want to go to WeWork. I didn't want to go out of my way to work. And so I said, I'm going to open one in Prince George's County because there wasn't one. There really wasn't a co-work community. So I said that in 2015. And then it took me up until 2018 to open. And then we opened, right? So CamSpace is just 5 minutes from Washington, D.C. We opened, like I said, in March 2018. And we have literally hosted the best of the best. Every photo that you see in this presentation is something that a client shot here. There are people on this call that have shot amazing content right in CamSpace. And every single time somebody is here, I get excited, whether you're some of the celebrities that you'll see in the next few slides, or somebody opening a business or a team. Like every client matters to me. Every client is important. No piece of content, no client is more important than the other. Like I said, we've had the best of the best here. So this is a little real small view of all the great people, some of the great people that have come through CamSpace. We have Gia Peppers, who is a national journalist. The Relationship Restored podcast, which is hosted by Dre Smith and Rhonda McClendon. They're ranking on relationship podcasts now. They shot some episodes here. Down here is Mommy on the Move. She's an influencer. She's got about 100,000+ followers. Her husband is the basketball coach at Marquette, I believe. She created a ton of content right here in front of this green wall. David Aldridge, sports journalist, and of course, the Real Housewives of Potomac, like the Real Housewives. They did a whole full day shoot here. And in addition to them shooting here, they were shooting Robin, her hat line. So Robin sent an email to me. She's on my list. Emails are so important. If you have not started building an email list, we got to talk about that. She got our email. I think I stole her email from something else. She got our email and she replied. She was like, "Hey, I would like to do a brand shoot there, and I think I'm going to have a TV show record. Would that be okay?" And I'm like, totally fine. They paid the rate. One of the easiest clients I've ever worked with. You would think like a big TV production would be hard to work with and all these red tape. It was so easy. She paid. She paid for her 7 hours or however much time. The studio paid for the other portion. And it was a twofer. So we were on the show. At that time, we had our logo here. We were on the show and you could see CamSpace and it was crazy, like the website spikes and everything. But also every brand shot for her hat was here. So when you go to the website, not even the Real Housewives models, but the models that she hired, they shot it in here. So when you go to her website, you see Camp, right? So this was something that was dually important because we got the TV visibility, but also we're now visible and we're embedded in her brand. And this brand, if you watch the show, this was something very important to her, right? Like Robin hadn't, she was kind of figuring it out. So to be a part of that story was very, very cool. And we've been a part of so many of these types of stories just being a content studio. And when people think about content studios, they think of just a place to take pictures. And you'll learn that it's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. This space has empowered so many people, including myself, to step out on their dreams, to be who it is that they want to be, to show up how they want to be seen. Like, that's important. And I think as you start to go down this path of opening your own space, I want you to think about it more as just like this brick and mortar with four walls. I want you to consider yourself as the conduit for people becoming the best them, right? Like, so many brands have been built here. And that means a lot. And I want you to start thinking about it in that way. I think that'll just help shape this whole process a little differently for you. Like I said, the best of the best. If you don't know who this gentleman is in this blue suit, that is James Brown, the James Brown, DeMatha graduate. Fun fact, you can literally throw a pebble to DeMatha from Kent. We are around the corner. And it's so interesting because I used to pass this place all the time. Like when we first opened, I used to say, my son is going to go to DeMatha. My business is going to be here. He ends up going somewhere else. A better school, in my opinion. But to be in the place, when James Brown came here, he said, "Oh, I went to DeMatha." Like that. That's kind of a cool story. And then you also see, what is his name? He was on a reality show, and his name skips me because I have so much on my brain right now. But he also took some really beautiful pictures here. He did all his Frank. That's his name, Frank. So he was on a game show, reality show. And then he came back on another Netflix show, I Want to Teach You to Be Rich with Ramit. Ramit is like a financial guru. I love him. Before Frank was on TV, he was in camp. Okay. His brand shoes were in camp. He would do these kind of outfit hauls in camp. And then to see him win the game show that he was on and then come back and be on the reality financial show is just really cool, right? It's like he's a part of the camp. He's a camp alum, I like to call these people. And that's camp. So we lucked up, right? We lucked up with a really pretty space. I added the flowers the flowers are actually still up. I added them on our 5th anniversary in March, also to commemorate Women's History Month. But this is an example of how you can use your outside as real estate, right? Like, you can do fun installations. When George Floyd passed, when he was murdered in 2020, this wall, this window said, "Black women are the ultimate creators," because I felt like that was a time where, we all know that Black businesses got a ton of support around that time. It's a shame that had to happen before people started to care about what we were building. But I took advantage of it and we changed the screen, which you guys will see in a few other slides. And it said, Black women are the ultimate creators. And so every quarter I try to switch this out with just things that mean things to me, right? So this one says, be you. I forget what some of the other ones are, but while you have the space inside that people can rent out, you can absolutely be using the outside of your space as real estate, because even if people don't book it, they can stop by and take a picture and post it on Instagram and geotag it. And now their audience sees who you are and they want to come and do the same, right? This content space is a photo op, right? Your whole place should be a photo op. So just remember that. And we'll kind of talk more about building out the space, but every piece of your space as you're thinking about it should be real estate for people to create content. And this is me. That's me. I'm telling you, every picture is going to be me here. I'm a creator. I'm a content strategist. I've owned Camp for five plus years. We hit the 5-year mark in March. I'm a former publicist. So I went to undergrad and I went to graduate school. Communications and public relations were my majors. And then I've worked for global nonprofits as their marketing manager, senior communications manager. I've worked with clients like Wale and Troy Polamalu and the VFW and the USO. I'm right now, currently, I work a full-time job. Newsflash, this is a very self-sufficient business where you can run it and still have a job or still do other things or still be a mom, all the things that I've done in this whole process. And right now I'm working as the director of communications for a mega church in the DMV area. And I love experiences, right? So this picture down here is of me and my first child, who is 16, who has been on the journey with me forever. This picture up here is me recording a podcast. I record my podcast here. I do everything here at camp. I didn't have my kids' birthday parties here. My sister's gender reveals here. It's just nice to have a space that can be multi-use for your clients, but also for you. So let me just give you, so I hit on how owning a content space can be, owning a space, it is self-sufficient. So I want to walk y'all through my journey, right? So like I said, in 2015, decided that I was going to, I made the very bold announcement that I was going to open a woman-only co-working space. And then after that, it's like, oh, okay, well, I got to get to it. So in 2016, I only had one child and I was married. Well, I am married. We were married. I said I was going to do these pop-up co-work days. So every other month I would go to a venue, actually not too far from where we are now, and I would invite people in to co-work because Prince George's County wasn't really familiar with co-working at the time. The point of that was to build community. The point of that was to see, do I really have people who care about what it is I'm trying to build? The point of that was also to get email addresses. The point of that was also to make relationships with business owners, city officials, and just kind of build the brand. When I was doing these pop-up co-work days, I had already had the business name. We were already trademarked. So we were moving. That was in 2016, all the way until 2017. Now, at the end of 2016, I got pregnant with baby number 2. And so then I was having these pop-up co-work days while I was pregnant. And then I had my baby girl in 2017. This is her right there, smiling. These are my 3 kids, by the way. This was about 2 years ago. And then I decided I hadn't found a space. I was over it. I didn't have anybody like this to kind of show me the way, right? I was figuring this out all on my own. And remember, it wasn't a content studio at first. It was a co-work space. And I said, I went to real estate school. Arnita, I went to real estate school, failed the real estate twice. Failed it twice. And I was like, okay, God, this ain't for me. What are we going to do next? And my family and I went on a trip to Orlando. And when on the flight back, and I've told this story before, on the way home at the airport, we were waiting for our connection flight. My landlord called me and she goes, "Hi, I got your info from the Hyattsville business representative and they said you're looking for a space." Now, mind you, I'd ridden past this place all the time. It was Galaxy Homes. It was an architecture company. Never considered it, but I knew exactly what she was talking about. So I said, oh, okay, God, you don't want me to not do this. You want me to do this. So we get back the next day. I go and see the space. I knew this was something I wanted. So I go and see the space. And while I'm here, I had an appointment to see the space. And there was somebody else here. There was someone else here on my appointment. So that was a little weird. And we get here, and she's now showing the space to two people. She's showing the space to somebody that I'm essentially going to be going against and bidding against, right? I get home, I fill out the application, I send my business plan, which we'll talk about a little later, because I had been building this for 2 years, y'all. I knew what I wanted. When I viewed it, I got more than I bargained for. We have a kitchen, we have a backyard, we have a really pretty bathroom because the owner, her dad was an architect. And like I said, this was an architect firm. So he needed to make it look like show off his work. Totally lucked up there. But you should, if you can have a kitchen, you should. And I talked about that a little on Instagram. But so I turn in my application and she declines me and I'm heartbroken. Okay. I'm crying. And I'm like, why would you do this, God? Because I said I didn't want to do this no more. And then you brought me back into the fold. I was good. I made peace with it. I tried to be a real estate agent and everything. And I was heartbroken. But another friend of mine, a good friend of mine, who actually, I told some of this story on live last night. I don't know if y'all got a chance to check out my friend Charlene's live. But I told her the situation and she was like, okay. And so she called the landlord, not on my behalf, just as a realtor digging for information. And she learned that the person that the landlord was considering going with wasn't going to work. And then she called me and she said, Patrice, it's not going to work. You need to call her. You need to get that space. And that's what I did. I called my landlord. And I think I left a message. Then she called me back and she said, it didn't work out. We would like you to be in the space. However, if you're interested, you're going to have to put down first and last month plus 3 months deposit because my credit wasn't high enough. Credit score wasn't high enough. Now, do I think, and I said this on live yesterday, do I believe that there was a little hidden racism in that? Absolutely. But we ain't going to get on that. But you, as someone that is looking to lease a space or even purchase a commercial space, really need to be thinking about things like having cash on hand so that you can be able to put that money up. I had switched jobs a couple years earlier, and instead of moving a portion of my retirement into another fund, I just kept it in an account, and I said, I'm going to use this to build my business. So it wasn't an issue. We were ready to get the cashier's check. But again, if you know that you were going to go down this path, go ahead and get your credit straight. Just like you buying a house, right? Start looking at that credit. Do what you need to do. Get the cash on hand. Figure out how you're going to do that because when you find a space, it might not be available for long, right? So I got the space in December 1st. We signed the lease. We opened in February. I was doing like a soft launch and we had our grand opening in March of 2018. I got pregnant with my third baby in July of 2018. So we're on baby number 3 now. Actually, baby number 4 because I got a business. And then I'm pregnant. Now I have a new business and I'm pregnant. And then in 2019, right before our first anniversary, I'm supposed to have the baby in March, but he's born in January because my water broke. So I was on bed rest for 3 weeks. And then my baby was in the NICU for 3 weeks. And the business did not stop. Okay. I had my laptop, people was booking it. I had the cleaning lady, we was moving. So when I tell you, I've been through so many life changes in this, in owning this space, it's real. And I believe that I was able to keep it going because it is, aside from it speaking for itself, it is a business that can be very self-sufficient. In that time, we also bought a house. So I was a stay-at-home mom. I was representing celebrity chefs and traveling and just doing a lot of things, all while this was still going. So if your excuse is that you got too much going on, I might want to bet that you ain't got more than I had going on. No shade, no tea, but that's an excuse. If your excuse is that you don't have a team, I didn't have a team. I did not have a team, y'all. And that's one of the things that I don't want to say regret because you learn and everything happens how it's supposed to happen. But I wish I had a team. I had an intern once we were open and going, but all of this stuff here, baby, I was doing it solo. And I do not say that bragging because it was confusing and it was hard, but I learned it. I got it. What do they say? You got it out the mud. But it's possible. So don't make excuses. That's that. I went into that story just to show y'all, throw the excuses out the door. Don't nobody have time for it. I don't. All right. Why are you here? Okay. You're here because maybe you're a content creator. Maybe you love content creation. And when I say content creator, that's not just somebody posting on Instagram. Content creators are photographers, they're videographers. And we'll talk a little bit more about this a little later. They're podcasters, they are producers, they are editors, they're writers, right? Like content is much more than a picture on Instagram. You're here because you're entrepreneurial. You see the benefit in having multiple revenue streams. You see the benefit in setting stuff up, setting it up, figuring it out, and moving on to the next. You're here because you might be kind of bored with what you're doing and you're excited about a new opportunity, maybe curious. Maybe there are some people here that are just like, sure, what's this content studio talking about? Because when I opened, content studios weren't a thing, right? It was a photography studio, not really a video studio, a couple podcast studios, but they were very, very white, male led, and they weren't cute. It was like you were walking into a box with styrofoam and a mic, not cute at all, because it was still very much so only audio. Now podcasts are videos, right? Podcasts are talk shows, okay? And so, maybe you're just kind of curious about what this new thing has become and why all these studios are popping up. And maybe you just need that extra push. You guys, if you follow me on Instagram or if you listen to my podcast, I'm not a motivational speaker, but I do believe I say a lot of things people need to hear because we make so many excuses for ourselves and we really just get in our own way. And it's like, y'all, what is your excuse? What is your excuse? If money's your excuse and you don't have the financial backing yet to get a space, you could do pop-ups. Like you could still do something. And I hope that this helps you take, like I said earlier, that first step. And let me go back. This is Kia. Kia is a creator. She's a communications marketing pro. And I'm saying this because this little room that she's in used to be a storage closet. And I said that it was unused real estate. And if we have time, I'll walk around and show you. So I just went on a website, same website I got these. I just bought flower ones and we just had stapled them up. And now it's a space for people to take pictures. Not big at all. It might be maybe 3 feet by 10, I guess. It's not big. Like you can touch each wall when you do like this. But it's a cute little tucked away section. She clearly got a whole outfit for the room. So these are the kind of little intricacies you want to think about as you're creating your space. You don't need 5,000 square feet. You don't need to. I just seen one of these big influencers in Houston just open a 2,500 square foot space. And it's cute, but it's a lot of open room that they ain't going to be able to use because it's kind of massive. We're at about 1,200 square feet and we use every single piece of it. Okay. So now we're going to get into what you need. And I did an Instagram live on this a while ago. I don't remember when it was, but I'm a straight shooter. And I'm going to tell you the 4 things that you need if you want to be successful in owning a content studio. You need to have a mindset, a positive mindset. If you don't believe you can do it, nobody else will. Okay. And even if for sometimes you don't believe you can do it, I'm going to tell y'all right now, when I sat down here at 7:25, didn't believe I could do it, stressed. And while I'm being transparent with you all about the process, I'm still here doing it, right? Like I'm here, we here. So you got to believe you can do it. If you have a limited mindset, and I run across a lot of people with lack mindsets, it actually blows my mind because I don't think I realized how small people's minds are. And I don't say that as a dig, or I don't say that to be mean, but give you an example. There's a dinner that happens in LA and New York, and somebody in the comment wrote, I wish they had those here. I really want to go to one. And so I don't know this person. I just said, well, why don't you just fly to the city, right? Taking aside like budget and all that stuff, but you can do whatever you want. You can have everything you want. You just have to get it, figure it out, do it, ask the questions, and you have to believe you have it. And if you don't, you won't. That's it. Like if you're in a space of, I can't do this, I don't have that, then just stop wasting your time. Stop wasting your time. Because that's the only time you're wasting. You're not wasting my time because you paid to be here. So I'm here. We happy. But if you have things that are limiting your beliefs, if you have people, because sometimes it's not even you, sometimes it's the people that laid right up next to you that are making you feel like you cannot do something. And they might not say it to you, you can't do this, but they might say, oh, I don't know if that's going to work. They might say, well, who gonna watch that? You don't think people have not said that to me? When I decided to pivot into a content studio, my own husband said, what is that? Ain't nobody gonna pay you all that money to do that. He didn't know. So that's okay. And I'm glad I didn't take that personal, because that's the other part. People are gonna say what they say, but you gotta be able to block it. Okay, cool. Or just don't share it with them, right? So you really gotta have your mind together. And that's personal development. Read some books, listen to some podcasts, tap into what you need to hear to get yourself right. When, like I said, when this came to me back in November, I was listening to Coach Stormy. Say what you want about Coach Stormy, but she gonna make you feel like you can do anything. And you gotta have people in your ear, whether you know them or not, that can make you feel that way, because that is going to be the extra push you need when things get hairy, because things get hairy sometimes. You need to have creativity. And if you don't have it, somebody on your team needs to have it. This is me recording the podcast. You have to have creativity. And some of you might be like, I'm not creative. I've heard that a lot. You'd be surprised what you think of when you just set some time aside to really ideate. And when you actually are intentional about looking for inspiration, got to be creative. Okay, this is where I was going with it. I would love to know how much time you all spend on Instagram every day. Put it in the chat. How much time are y'all spending on Instagram every day? Take a guess. Take a guess. Is it 15 minutes? Is it an hour? Is it 2 hours? Is it 3 hours? 8 hours, Arnita? Now I'm gonna give you a little grace because of what you do, and you're putting out the content and you're making leads. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of time on that. I'm gonna give you a little grace on that one.
And it's probably not that bad, but it's a lot.
It's a lot. Okay, Jada, 2 hours a day, and I get over that, and so this thing is in the way. So it's not you. You didn't type it wrong, and then you go over it. Okay, so you set it to 2 hours a day. That 3 to 5 hours. Yo, y'all better be making money off Instagram all this time you spending. Okay, 1 hour combined. And we said social media, not just Instagram. I have a 15-minute limit on Instagram every day. 15 minutes. There is nothing that I need outside of that 15 minutes. When it hits the 15 minutes, my phone will go limit. And if I stay on, I might stay on for another 15, and I got to go because I know that I've already hit my mark there. And I know it's like, if you go over a certain amount of time, you're not getting anything out of the platforms. You're just not. Okay. I'm gonna argue with anybody that says that. I'm tracking with me here. When I say be a creator and when I say finding inspiration, I mean being intentional. So you need to say, all right, I need to come up with some content ideas. I need to find some creators in the area that I can pitch to come to the space. I need to think about some podcast episodes that I can record in the space. That's when you need to be scrolling. That's when you have block time in your calendar, and it says literally social media inspiration time. And you are intentionally using that hour, that 30 minutes to give you something. Okay. And so that is how you can help yourself be more creative, when you're intentional about finding inspiration, when you are asking the right questions, when your feed is actually curated to things that is actually speaking to your business. I don't follow shading. I don't follow any of those accounts because none of that stuff is relevant to what I do every day. And then also those comments and that stuff sends me down a further rabbit hole. So why do it, right? This is also a little bit of mindset stuff here too, right? We got to hack our own selves so that we can be successful.